Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa atba'i ajma'in. We have reached the chapter of nouns that are marfu'. Last week we discussed the first type of nouns that are marfu', and that was the verbal subject, the doer. And we said that the doer or the verbal subject is either hidden or manifest, is either manifest or hidden. And manifest is when you explicitly mention the name of the subject, right? When you say Peter, for example, John, Zaid, Muhammad, Amr. For example, Muhammad came or John hit Peter. So these are, you're explicitly mentioning the subjects here. That is what we call manifest or al-zahir in Arabic. And then the other, so it's either manifest or hidden. And a hidden subject would be a subject that is a pronoun. So you're not explicitly mentioning the name, but you're actually mentioning the pronoun, and the subject is living inside that pronoun, like he, she, him, her, they, we. You know, all of these are pronouns. You're not explicitly mentioning anyone's name, but you're basically implicitly referring to them in that pronoun. So we spoke about the Zahir, the manifest last week, and we gave many examples. And this week we are talking about the Mudmar, or the hidden subject. And these are, as you can see in the screen, these are the verb conjugations. These are the past tense verb conjugations. And so a pronoun in Arabic can take multiple forms. A pronoun in Arabic is either mustatir or bariz. It's either it is either written, or it is so. What makes it tricky, because I am running out of words for translation, because we translated zahir, the verbal subject, as when it's explicit as manifest, and when it's pronoun as hidden. But a pronoun itself is divided into the same two types. So a pronoun itself can also be manifest or hidden. The way it's manifest, if it's explicitly written at the end of a word or somewhere at the end of a verb, right? That's when it's manifest. But if it's not explicitly written at the end of a verb, that is when it's hidden. Okay. So for example, let me give you a very simple example here. Darabtu. So the actual verb, the actual verb is the daraba part, the first three letters of the word. That's the actual verb. So if I was to highlight it for you, that is actually the verb itself, right? And then we have something else attached to it. Now this is the pronoun, right? That is the pronoun, and that is a pronoun that is manifest. Why is it manifest, guys? It's because it is there, right? It's written out, so you can see it. Yeah, explicit. But let me just quickly go explain the difference between explicit and implicit or hidden, and then we can go in order. So, but then if you look at daraba, which I'm gonna highlight right now, daraba. Do you see? Is this only the verb, or does it have also a noun attached to it, a pronoun attached to it?
No, I don't see any pronoun.
Yeah, this is only the verb, right? We said the first three letters are the verb, daraba. Yeah, but so this is only the verb, but it does not have any pronouns explicitly attached to it or manifest at the end of it. But there is a side of it, and that pronoun is hidden. That pronoun is hidden, and that pronoun is him. So, for example, when you say daraba Zaydun Amran, it means Zayd hits Amr. Or if you say darabahu, he hit him. So you're mentioning the verb, but there are no explicit pronouns attached to it. But you know that a past tense verb for the third person, that is the nature of a past tense verb for the third person, for one third person, that the pronoun he is explicit. I'm sorry, the pronoun he is implicit in it. So meaning is hidden in it. It's not explicitly written out at the end. Okay. So that's the difference between a pronoun being hidden or and being manifest. Okay. So that's one division for pronouns. The other division for pronouns is that in Arabic is that a pronoun is either attached to a verb or detached from a verb. Okay. It's either attached to a verb or detached to a verb, and inshallah that we'll discuss later. But just wanted you guys to know these two. Now I can do something as well. I can actually add a slide here and write out the two divisions that we discussed, and it's gonna make it easy for you, inshallah. Okay. Types. Any questions so far about this? Does this make sense, or do you guys have? Please feel free to ask. Yeah.
Check. I just wanted to ask about the detached pronouns. That means those detached pronouns would just appear at the end of the verb, but separately. That's what it means, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And sometimes it's possible that they may even appear at the before a verb. For example, when you in the Quran, we do this every time we pray. We actually mention a detached pronoun before a verb. When we say إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين, and in the chapter of Al-Fatiha, إياك is actually a detached pronoun, which means you. You we worship. إياك نعبد. We are talking to Allah and we're saying that, oh, you, only you we worship and only you we ask for assistance. So yeah, so it's gonna be very interesting. Once you know, a lot of things will make sense to you. Then the reason we mentioned the pronoun, the detached pronoun before the verb in إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين, is to indicate that only Allah we worship and only Him we ask for assistance. Because when you bring the pronoun at the beginning, that it puts it specifies the verb to that pronoun, right? It means it limits the verb to that pronoun. For example, you say to someone, you I respect. There's a group of people around you, and you're looking at everyone, and you look at one of them and you say, you I respect. What is that? You're actually telling everyone else that you don't respect them, right? That's so
Puts emphasis on the particular person, the individual.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So, and the same thing here, إياك نعبد, and you, oh Allah, we worship, and meaning everything else is worthless. Nothing else is worth worship. Um,
Check. The pronouns, the detached pronouns, can
yeah,
also be attached pronouns at the end. Are they the same ones that becomes attached or detached
yeah.
at?
So
Okay.
so that's a bit more advanced. Sometimes sometimes it is a must. You must detach it. Sometimes it is a must. You must attach it. But sometimes, for example, in the case of إياك نعبد, in this case, if we were to attach the verb, we worship you, but it wouldn't put the emphasis on Allah
The
subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. So this is baraz means manifest. I'm going to translate it with the same words. Hidden, attached, detached, and then I can add more to it later.
Sheikh, excuse me, Sheikh. Sheikh, have you moved to slide 79?
Yeah, I'm currently at 79. Yes.
Because we are not able to see that. I think Alim needs to scroll down.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you are. I see 79 right now, and brother Alam's screen sharing.
Sheikh. Okay.
Now it's 78.
Sheikh, my Wi-Fi dropped for a minute, I guess.
Oh, I see. Okay, no problem. That's fine. So
In which
now, okay,
slide?
so this is only slide 78. This is what I added. So the pronoun types, there are two divisions. The first division is a pronoun is either manifest or hidden. Manifest is when the pronoun is explicitly attached or written, and the hidden is when the pronoun is basically not written but implicit in the verb, right? And both of these divisions actually belong to the attached verbs. Both of these categories belong to the attached verbs. So maybe I should do this. I should actually change the order. Like this, and then we can. Okay, so an attached pronoun is either manifest or hidden, right? And then we have the munfasil, which is the pronoun that is detached, and the pronouns that is detached cannot be hidden, right? How can you have a detached pronoun that, right? Okay. Okay, so let's go back to slide 79. So let's go through the verb conjugations. The reason we are actually mentioning all the verbs, because to be able to see the attached pronouns, we need to see the verb, right? You cannot have an attached pronoun. You cannot say a pronoun is attached and then not have anything that it is attached to, right? So for us to be able to give examples for the attached pronouns, we have to mention the verbs themselves. So we have to go through the verb conjugations and mention each verb conjugation and how the pronoun is either um, how the attached pronoun is either hidden or manifest. So the first one is ضربت, and ضربت means I hit. ضربت means I hit. Does this and where's the pronoun here?
Ta at the end.
Yes, the two. That is the pronoun. ضربت. Okay. And then we have ضربنا. ضربنا means we hit. So where is the pronoun here? The pronoun is this part. ضربنا, which means we. And then we have ضربت, which means you hit. Where is the pronoun? This guy right here. And then you have ضربتي, which means you hit basically, but you feminine. Okay. So here again, we're saying you hit, but it is feminine, meaning the you that you're referring to is a female. It's not a male, all right? And in Arabic, we actually differentiate. It's not you is not general to both genders. You is the you in Arabic is actually we have a specific you for females and a specific you for males. So if you have a ta and a fatha on top of it, that's for males. And if you have a ta and a kasra at the bottom of it, that is for females.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, Sheikh.
Yeah. And then we have ضربتما. ضربتما. ضربتما means you hit again, but this one is for the dual. The dual you, meaning you two hit. Okay. And then we have and it's this one is the same for both males and females. So for both males and females, you would say ضربتما. If there are two females, you say ضربتما. If there are two males, you say ضربتما. If there's a female and a male, you say ضربتما. It doesn't change.
Sheikh,
So
the
and
pronoun would be then Tuma,
yeah,
the
yeah,
hit thing. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So so there are actually there's more discussion on this, but for now, let's make it simple, and that is a pronoun. That will make it very simple. And then later on, when we discuss, when we go over the other books, we can go in more detail in regards to how do we how do we come up with the meme. But we don't need to know that for now. Okay, so that is for you hit the dual, and then darabtum is you hit, but for the plural, right? You can mean for one person, right? You can use you for a single person. You can use you for two people. You can use you for three or more people. But in Arabic, every single one of them has a different, basically has a different pronoun. And this is basically this is what that shows. This is basically what it shows. So darabtunna. Now darabtunna is for the plural, but for the feminine plural. For the feminine plural. And I'm gonna put F to indicate feminine. And then we have okay, there's not enough room, I guess. So, and then we have daraba, and daraba means he hit. So here, this is a perfect example for the hidden pronoun. This he is nowhere to be found at the end of the verb, meaning it is hidden inside of the verb. Okay, and then you have darab two. With this one is with a dhamma. Let me add the dhamma here real quick. Okay. This is I'm sorry, this is darabat with not with the dhamma, with a sukoon. Okay, so this means she hit. Now this is a tricky question. Is there an attached verb? Is there a pronoun attached here?
The ta with the sukun? Not
Okay.
really.
Yes. Yeah. So that's a trick question. So that ta with the sukun, if you remember from at the beginning, I think that was the second lesson. We said the ta at-tanith as-sakina,
Yeah.
the feminine
Silent ta.
silent ta is actually a sign for being a verb. It's a sign for being a verb. It is not a pronoun. And obviously, there's also
Yeah.
there are differences of opinions amongst grammarians in regards to this. But know that this ta is actually a sign of being feminine. But the pronoun itself, just like daraba, meaning the she pronoun, is inside daraba. And the only thing that ta indicates, it indicates that that pronoun, that third person pronoun, singular pronoun, is a female. Does that make sense? It doesn't actually, the ta itself is not a pronoun. And that is one of the opinions. Again, I only give you the most simplified opinions right now. I'm not going to give you um,
Sheikh, they would say
anything.
that Sheikh would say that the entire word is a feminine word due to the sukunta, silent ta.
So it's a feminine verb. Yeah, exactly. The entire verb is for as a feminine verb. It's a verb for the female, for a female.
Okay.
Yeah, good observation. Okay. Daraba, meaning the two hit, and this is again, this is both applies. It applies to both females and males. Okay, meaning the two hit, but this is the third person. And then darabu, meaning it means um, darabu, it means they hit, meaning they all hit, and this only applies to males. So meaning they hit. This is for males. I'm just gonna put an M. And then darabna. Who can guess what this is? What this means?
The female they hit
Yeah,
referring.
exactly. The females hit. Yeah. And this is the pronoun. Okay. It means they, females. Okay, now I'm gonna just make a correction here. I highlighted this blue. It should be, let me highlight something else. Okay, just to indicate it is not a pronoun. Okay, so is this clear, everyone?
Yes, Sheikh.
Okay, so daraba. Daraba is actually the example or the verb that we've been using in all of our examples, right? Can someone give me an example of another verb? Just something else that you've discussed, maybe.
Ja.
Ja'a. Okay, so ja'a, and then so basically, but ja is a bit tricky because when you add pronouns to it, the form changes. For example, ja, if I was to add the singular pronoun to it, first person pronoun, the ta to it, I would say ji'tu. I would not say ja'tu. I would say ji'tu. So just to make things more simple, let's use a different verb.
Could you use the word
Can
Muslim?
anyone else?
Oh no, that
So
won't work. That's a
Muslim,
noun.
Muslim is,
A
yeah,
noun,
that's
yeah.
a noun.
That won't
Yeah,
work. Yeah.
but you can use aslama. Aslama is the verb that Muslims is derived from. Aslama means he surrendered. Yeah, you can
Submission.
use you can use aslama. So you say aslamtu, aslamna, aslamta. So we'll go one by one. Darabtu becomes aslamtu. Darabna becomes aslamna. Darabta becomes aslamta. Darabti becomes aslamti. Darabtuma becomes aslamtuma. Darabtum becomes aslamtum. Darabtunna becomes aslamtunna. Daraba becomes aslama without any pronouns attached. Darabat becomes aslamat. Daraba becomes aslama. Darabu becomes aslamu. Darabna becomes aslamna. You see how it is? So
Yeah,
you can actually right now take any verb that you want and add these pronouns to it. Which is now I will give you an assignment for next week. And those of you who did not this week's assignment, will have to do both for next week. So do the same thing for the verb jalasa. Your homework is to do the same thing for the verb jalasa. Let me write it down here. Jalasa. So this is your homework. Do this for next week, inshallah.
Sorry, brother. What does it mean, jalasa?
Jalasa means he sat. So basically, jalasa because it does not have any explicit pronouns attached to it. We assume that there's a he in it. It means he sat. Jalasa means he sat.
Sheikh, we have this word in Bengali. Father, you know it, right?
Really?
Yeah, we call it jolsha. Yeah. You're familiar with it, right, Fahad?
Oh yeah, jalsha, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, it's incredible, isn't it?
Okay, so so here we did go through the imperfect tense conjugations, if you remember, right? And now we have gone through the past tense verb conjugations. Now I want you guys to do the conjugation for jalasa, both for the past tense and the imperfect tense. And the perfect tense, I think it's in one of the previous slides. I can find it and send you the number of the slide. But so for next, and this is very important. Knowing the verb conjugations is actually it's a must. It's one of the first things you need to do. It's like the part of the fundamentals of Arabic, right? So even if you did not do last week's homework, this week this particular assignment is actually crucial. It's a must. We will not move forward in the class until I have this assignment. Okay. So jalasa is one verb, and I also ask you to find a verb of your own, Arabic verb of your own from the Quran or anyone else, and come up with the verb conjugations for it, both past tense and the imperfect tense. Okay, so now that takes care of the pronoun. Now in this case, these pronouns were all the doers. They were all the subjects, right? And now there is a second category of pronouns that are all object. They're basically when you want to put the object in the hidden form, in the form of a pronoun, there's a different way you do it. Basically, these pronouns will not apply, will not be correct. We cannot use them for an object. Just like if you say, for example, he hit John. He hit John, right? So you cannot say him hit John, right? You have to say he hit John. He is actually the pronoun in English for the subject. But then if you want to use a pronoun for the subject, what would you use instead of he? You would use him, right? For example, I say Peter hit him, right? So it's the same concept in Arabic. The pronouns for the subjects, are different from the pronouns for the objects. Does that make sense?
Yes, Sheikh.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. So now this takes us to the next section, or the next chapter of the book. And this chapter of the book is the chapter of the object whose subject is not mentioned. The object whose subject is not mentioned. And this is the second category of nouns that is marfu', that has the conjugation of rafa. So we are at 10:06. Do you have any questions? I mean, 10:06 at my time, 10:06 a.m. Do you guys have any questions?
No, Sheikh.
No. Okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and write the first part of this chapter. باب المفعول الذي لم يسمى فاعله. باب المفعول الذي لم يسمى فاعله. The chapter of the object whose subject is not mentioned. Now, for the object, do we need to differentiate between verbal and nominal? We don't have to, right? Because an object is always an object of an action. And when for a subject, for a nominal subject, what comes after it is the predicate. It's not the object. But for the verbal subject, the doer, there needs to be a subject. Or if that verb requires an object, for it not only does it not only will it have a subject, it will also have an object. What I mean by that is some verbs do not require an object, right? For example, when I say he sat, jalasa zaidun, does sitting require an object? No,
No.
you just sat, right? But if I say he hit, right? He hit, yeah, hitting does require an object. Who did he hit, right? You cannot just say John hit. The people will tell you, what do you mean? Like, who did he hit, right? Then you say John hit Peter. So that requires an object. And here, when we talk about objects, sorry, let me fix this. Okay, object whose the object. Let me just say the object whose subject is not mentioned. That's better. Okay, so now here now that we in this case as well, this object is either manifest or hidden. And what does the author say? The author say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The author says, Rahimahullah, وهو الاسم المرفوع الذي لم يذكر معه فاعله. What does that mean? He says, وهو الاسم المرفوع الذي لم يذكر معه فاعله. Okay. فإن كان الفعل ماضيا ضم أوله وكسر قبل آخره. وإن وإن كان مضارعا ضم أوله وفتح ما قبل آخره. Okay. Translate time. So I am on slide 780. Do you guys see slide 80 right now?
Yes, Sheikh.
Okay. So slide 80. And limit. It is the marfu noun that which its doer subject is not mentioned. Okay. And I will give you an example. Let me actually finish translating. And if the verb is past tense, the first letter is made madmum and second to last letter maksur. And if the verb is imperfect, its first letter is made madmum and second to last letter maftuh. Okay, so if I was to say Zaid was generous to Amr, if I was to say Zaid was generous to Amr, I would say Akrama Zaidun Amran. Okay, this is what I would say. I would write, but or let me use a different name. Akrama Zaidun Bakran, because Zaid hits Amr. He doesn't. He is not generous to him. Just to be consistent with the theme of our examples. Akrama Zaidun Bakran. Right here. Here Zaid is explicitly mentioned, who is the subject, and Bakr, who is the object, is explicitly mentioned, right? Zaid and Bakr are both explicitly mentioned. But if I was to remove Zaid and make him ambiguous, make the doer or the subject ambiguous, I would say Ukrima Bakrun. I would say Ukrima Bakrun. So here, what I have done is I have removed the subject, and I have only the only thing that's left is the object, right? And in this case, when you remove the subject and you keep the object, actually that object takes the place of the subject when it comes to the inflection. And we know a subject is always marfu, Therefore, if the subject is removed and the object takes its place, even though in meaning it's still an object, but when we give it an inflection, we give it the inflection of the subject. We give it the inflection of that which it replaced, right? So the example, the translation of two examples is actually, let me write down here. So in our and then I'll translate it in a second, but let me finish explaining the Arabic part. So فإن كان الفعل ماضيا ضم أوله وكسر ما قبل آخره. So how do we know whether this is an object whose verb is not mentioned or whose subject is not mentioned? We look at the verb itself. Has the form of the verb changed? Meaning, have the diacritical marks, have the diacritics on verbs, the verbs changed, or have they remained the same? By default, verbs, past tense verbs, and imperfect tense verbs, they have particular diacritics. They have some specific diacritical marks by default. And once you change those, it indicates that it is no longer, meaning the subject is no longer being mentioned in the sentence. So if you change the diacritical marks to some other diacritical marks that indicate the subject is not mentioned, then that is how you know that basically that whatever is the noun that does exist is an object, is not a subject, right? For example, the author says, if the verb is past tense, the first letter is made madmum and the second letter is made maksur. So by default, for example, daraba. By default, daraba had the first letter had a fatha, the second letter had a fatha, and the third letter had a fatha, right? Daraba Zaydun Amran. Daraba Zaydun Amran, right? Daraba Zaydun Amran. Actually, I'm gonna say Amrun. Daraba Amrun Zaydan. Okay. Daraba Amrun Zaydan. Now, if you want to make it bina majhul, or if you want to make it a verb that whose subject is not mentioned, what does the author say? This says you make and if the verb is past tense, the first letter is made madmum, meaning you give the first letter a dhamma and the second to the last letter kasra. So in our case, daraba, what's the diacritics that goes over dad? Dhamma, right? We said that's what we want to do, right? It says the first letter is made madmum, meaning it takes the dhamma, and the second to last letter, which is the ra in our example, is made maksur. So you give it a kasra, and then the last letter remains the same, doriba. Now here, you cannot mention the subject anymore. So you just say doriba zaydun. You're actually only mentioning the object, but you have given it an inflection of rafa. Does this make sense?
Yes, Sheikh.
Okay.
Sheikh,
Now here,
I might be mistaken over here, but have we ever defined the terms madmum and maksur before?
Yeah. Remember I told you I'm sorry. So I think I told you the idea behind it, but we did not talk about these words specifically these words. Remember when I talked about zulm and mazlum, rafa and marfu, khafad and makhfud, nasab and mansub. So this is the same concept. Dhamma is the actual diacritical mark, and madmum is the letter which gets that diacritical mark.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And the same thing with maksur. Kasra is the diacritical mark, and the maksur is the letter that takes that diacritics.
Okay. So Sheikh, a dhamma will be madmum for the first letter, and kasra would be maksur for the second last letter, only when that verb does not have a subject in the sentence. Okay,
Yes.
right. Oh.
Yes, exactly. And that is the case with the past tense. And then the author says,
Okay.
وَإِنْ كَانَ مُضَارِعًا ضُمَّ أَوَّلُهُ وَفُتْحَ مَا قَبْلَ آخِرِ. And if the verb is imperfect, its first letter is made madmum, similar, and the second to last letter is made maftuh. That is the difference here. It's made, the second to last letter is made what? Maftuh. For example, the same example, I'll give you the same example. By default, يضرب, the first letter has a fatha, Dha has a sukun, and Ra has its kasra, right? يضرب أمر زيدا. Okay. Now we want to make it in Arabic we call it bina majhul or bina maf'ul. We want to make the verb such that its subject is ambiguous. How do we do that? We, as the author says, we make the first letter what? Madmum, right? We give it a dhamma. The dad remains the same. The second to last letter will make it maftuh. Yudrabu. And once you see this form, you know that the subject needs to be removed, or the subject is removed. So all you will mention is Zaydun. Zayd is being hit. Duriba Zaydun meant Zayd was hit. Yudrabu Zaydun means Zayd is being hit. Present future tense.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the difference. I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, the concept is very straightforward. It's just you need to practice, and you need to be, when you read the Quran, always be looking out for these differences, and inshallah it will all fall into place. But as far as the concept, I believe, or the theory, the concept is very clear, isn't it?
Yes, Sheikh.
Okay, so inshallah, I think that should be enough for today. Next week we will talk about the different types of the object, this type of object, which is, as we said, is either zahir, manifest, or hidden.
Mudmar.
Mudmar. Yeah, mudmar. So inshallah, that's what we'll do next week. Any questions about anything that we went over today?
Sheikh, just something that I would like to say, that Sheikh, whenever these certain keywords appear on the slide in Arabic text, such as Dahir and Mudmar, could you add the diacritical marks for those certain keywords so that we could memorize those words?
The zahir and
I mean,
mudmar, yeah.
And I mean the keywords for the
Yeah,
slide
all
that
of
we are on, the keywords of
yeah,
that. Yeah, it would be
yeah.
easier for us to know that this is the topic we are concentrating on.
Yeah. So actually, to be honest with you, I need to go and put from the beginning to, and then put diacritical mark on every single word, because this is for beginners. And I, as Brother Fahd Haidar mentioned, had complained from the very beginning. This is that's the way it should be. I should put the diacritics on every single letter
I mean,
in this document.
Sheikh, I mean, if you don't have the time for putting the diacritical marks for the entire sentence, at least if you could do it on the keywords, that would be really helpful for us, because
Yeah.
what I need to do is that I have to open the slide and listen to your lectures side by side to figure out the words and how to
Yeah.
pronounce it, because without the
Yeah.
diacritical marks. Yeah, Sheikh. I mean, when I was studying for the quiz, the second quiz, going over the agents of nasab and jazm, just looking at the slides wasn't working, because those pronunciation needed to be cleared out from the way you were pronouncing it, the way you were
Yeah.
saying those, because without the diacritical marks, yeah.
Yeah, 80 slides. Yeah, I'll have to go over for you also gave me some homework, brother, not I did.
Sheikh, but if you're busy, you don't have to. I mean, we can do it
Yeah.
the hard way. We can just listen to the lectures. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you have a point. I need to do it. Inshallah, I'll make an effort to do it as soon as possible. إن شاء الله. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.